Darlington County and this beautiful speedway that's been here since 1950. One of NASCAR's all but original tracks, one of its throwback tracks. Welcome to practice and qualifying from Darlington. This is NASCAR on Prime. There's that venerable asphalt. There's the formerly new and red paint. Ish. That's against that paint, and that's just from yesterday. And the trucks. Nice job on the truck race last night, Kevin, with your new friends up here in the booth. That all seemed to go really well. But, wow, a lot of surprises right at the end. What are we going to see right now?
Well, I think that word of surprise could be what we see today. I think that a lot of these drivers and teams expect for the new downforce package and the more horsepower and everything to really take effect here at Darlington. And I think there's a lot of unknowns that they have to answer to see if that simulation and all the things that they prepared for, if it's actually right as they go into practice today.
Well, at the end of the day, what that means is, let's simplify that. We don't have any grip, folks, and that is good. That is good for a viewer. I cannot wait to watch this practice and qualifying. These guys, they wanted it in their hands, and I feel like that's what we've done. We took downforce out of these cars, we put it in the driver's hands, and I think those old hands are going to be a handful.
They're going to be busy, that's for sure.
I think you, like old school, you just said it, Mike, old school Darlington. You know what you used to have to do? Manage these tires, and I think it's going to start early. I don't need to go out there and make this qualifying lap early. I want to settle in. I want this to be a good, smooth lap on 10, 15 laps into these runs, because my rear grip's going to go away in a hurry.
Eric Jones, one of the first out on track for practice in Group 1.
Kevin, let's drive along right here with him, and I want you to talk about the throttle it takes to get around here.
Yeah, you're going to have a lot more throttle right now, and as you spoke about a couple minutes ago or a couple seconds ago, you're going to have your markers and your throttle and everything for the first 2, 3, 4, 5 laps, and you hear him right now, and that's actually a fair amount of throttle for early on in the run. But as you go, you're going to have less and less and less full-time throttle, and you're going to have to manage and be really easy. That egg under the throttle theory is what you're talking about, but you cannot rush the throttle and get the back of the car snapping around.
And both ends being drastically different. You hear him really walking it through the corner in 1 and 2, down here, off the gas, and pretty much back to it steady, but slow.
Yeah, and you see Eric on the bottom of the racetrack. You've got options. You see the car in front of him up against the wall. And I always thought with these cars, you wanted to be up against the wall as much as possible to take care of that right rear tire. Larry?
Yeah, Kevin, if you remember last week at Las Vegas when practice started, I talked about everything being the same from the Las Vegas race at the fall. You guys have been touching on that. Here at Darlington, about the only thing that's the same this weekend from the last time we were here is the location of the racetrack. You talked about it. The least amount of downforce we've had in almost 10 years, 80 more horsepower, a softer right side tire, throw in the fact it's already in the mid-80s, supposed to be in the high 80s tomorrow. But right now, the most valuable thing at this racetrack are these 4-sticker Goodyear tires. And that's the key to this 25-minute practice. You only actually have one set. I talked to a lot of crew chiefs. They said, we hope we go out there, the car is maybe just a little snug, a little tug on the steering wheel, because if it's loose, it's not going to get better. They're going to have to come in and make adjustments, and that is a big challenge on one set of tires. Regan, I would say I miss being a crew chief. This might be one weekend I'm glad that I just have to talk about it.
Well, Larry, I can promise you these drivers will be yelling at their crew chiefs at some point this weekend. Chase Briscoe, winner of the most recent time we were here at Darlington in the Southern 500 last Labor Day. What do you do in this practice session to manage all those changes Larry McReynolds was just talking about with the car, the tire, the downforce, the horsepower, everything, a lot to think about?
Yeah, just go drive it, see what it does. Yeah, nobody has any idea what to expect. You know, the sim can kind of anticipate some stuff, but until we get here, we have no idea what it's going to do. So, yeah, just get behind the wheel of our Freebird Toyota and see what it does. So hopefully it'll drive good. You know, we definitely felt like we had a good package for the old I guess, package that we were in here. But who knows with this one. So, yeah, just go out there, try to run 30, 35 laps and see kind of where it goes and just how different it drives. It's going to drive different. Just a matter of what things work, what doesn't work. And until we get on the racetrack, we won't know.
Guys, maybe a little disadvantage for the Joe Gibbs teams. All of their cars will be in Group 2, not out in Group 1 right now.
Well, what Chase Briscoe just said is what all the drivers have been saying all week long. in a nutshell, we don't know what to expect.
Which is great for us.
Yes.
And everybody watching, because when they don't know what to expect and they can't wrap their arms around everything, it really makes it challenging to get your car to drive right. And it's not going to ever drive right here, Clint. I mean, it's always going to feel like it's on the edge. And as a driver, you just have to be able to adapt to every lap, because as you're watching right now, they just get slower and slower and slower, and just getting it to the point where it finally levels off, and then knowing and getting into the rhythm of being able to manage the car and keep it straight.
I just want to worry about my balance of the race car. You can't push the front end too much. You can't push the rear tires of the throttle too much. Don't get caught chasing this scorecard. The lap times, don't even look at it. Race this racetrack. I've heard that a million times as I've come here over to Darlington over the years, and just race the racetrack, focus on you. Regan?
Well, guys, as we see the two-car Boston Cindric on track right now, of course, a part of our drivers-only broadcast last night. 9 laps right now in that two-car, third quickest as we look at him, but already complaining about ride quality issues. I know we talked about a lot about lose tight, what the car was going to do. Ride quality, though, for Austin Cindric.
Yeah, and where that ride quality really comes into play is off of turn 2. So they have a patch off of turn 2, and you'll be able to see the black lines on the racetrack where they've kind of repaired the beginning and the end of this patch. But really, Austin's getting ready to come to it right there. And that little grip and right there, that's where the ride quality really comes into play. And it'll hit those rub blocks and make the back of the car bounce around. But you want it as low as you can get it.
We're Group 1. We're about a second off of the fastest lap in practice last fall, which was Michael McDowell, right at 29 seconds flat.
Well, watching him, he slid up to the corner. You saw the front end kind of take off, and right before he hit that wall, it finally found a little bit of grip and kept him out of it. But, I mean, I'm seeing this car sliding around the track right now, and I know his hands are already full. Tires are wearing quick.
One of NASCAR's most successful drivers and one of its greatest philosophers, Darrell Waltrip, had this to say. And he said that in Victory Lane in 1984. All right, 17 and a half to go in Group 1 practice at the track too tough to tame. Welcome back to NASCAR on Prime from Darlington Raceway. This used to be NASCAR's official throwback weekend. They have abandoned that, but some of the teams and a lot of the fans love coming to this historic racetrack and doing it upright. So here's Carson Hocevar, and in recent weeks, Richard Petty and others, okay, including me, have said, he reminds me of a young Dale Earnhardt, younger than this Wrangler paint scheme that they have replicated on the 77, but that's a cool throwback right there.
Did you hear that car jump over that bump, Kevin?
Yeah, that bump is very sensitive. You want to be in the middle of that patch, and you see the...
It is a spot. Back to your point, though, Mike. I just heard that. That's a racer in me. But what a cool paint scheme. I mean, it takes me back to when I first started watching NASCAR.
All right, so look at the back of that car. Instead of Gene's Machine, it says Marg Machine. Margarita, Clint.
Oh, buddy.
There you go.
Let's go to Chili's and have one.
Well, he didn't give one away last night in the truck race. Did he have it stolen from him with 4 to go?
Well, he got a flat tire, and he definitely had some handling issues that he was going to have to deal with those guys. Ross Chastain had run him down. But the thing that I love is he's already been on the racetrack. He's already dealt with the frustration of Darlington sliding around, knowing that the handling on that truck went away. You see the back of that car sliding around right there. So it's going to be a handful, but I think the more laps you can make here at Darlington, the better off you are as a driver to just get into that rhythm.
All right, hey, Vern, watch this. Stripe count starts with 1.
I can already tell. Look out, we're sideways. Austin Cindric, hold on to it. Oh, that was just a little love tap, a little kiss. It helped him out, straightened him right back out.
Yeah, and you see him all the way up the racetrack right here, and it's hard to do early. Woo.
You also heard him completely out of the gas along for the ride, and not much you can do there. He's already turning right, trying to keep it out of it. Larry, what do you got?
Well, pretty much y'all are seeing it. We talked about it at the top of the show. Pretty much what we're hearing across the board. I'm loose everywhere. The rear's out of the track. I'm edgy in, I'm edgy off. I'm not comfortable turning the steer wheel. Well, we talked about the downforce. Just think about the rear alone, the rear of the race car. We went from a 4-inch tall rear spoiler to a 3-inch tall rear spoiler, and we went to the simple rear diffuser. It's taken 40% of the rear downforce away from the car, but the box they're in, I talked about it, one set of tires. Yeah, you can come in and make an adjustment, but then you go back out, okay, where are my tires at? Did the change we make a difference, or is our tires already went away on us? It is truly a box for these crew chiefs, these drivers, and these race teams.
Well, a couple things right there that I want to unpack. The first one being ride quality. We already heard Austin Cindric talk about the ride quality of his car. What that means, when they have a deficiency of rear grip, we want to lower this car down, Kevin, because that's where the rear grip comes from. Can't do that because my man's already saying that when ride quality's off, I'm bottoming out on the racetrack and it's affecting the way the car's handling. That's the trick there, and that's the balance that these crew chiefs have to decide on, is how low can you go and get away with it. The other aspect of that is spot on. You come in and pit right now, it's the cycle and the tires. These tires do not like to cool down and heat back up. You're going to go out and fight a whole different animal if you do that.
Looking at Kyle Busch, who tonight will be racing with his son Brexton at Anderson Speedway on the other side of South Carolina.
I got bad news for your Marg machine, Mike.
What happened?
Let's take a look.
Well, he has the best consecutive 20 laps. And then this.
That was the wall.
Yeah, and it looked like he just might have clipped that wall. Kind of creeps out right there. There's like a knob in the wall getting into turn 3, and a lot of times.
A few laps, we'll be ready to fix you up in here. 4. 7, do we go to the back? The back, do we? If we can fix.
One thing I noticed is he entered really high. The good news is it's just scratched on the back side, no damage on the right front fender. So probably checking the toe link there, Kevin, make sure that that's okay.
Yeah, and really that's what you want. You want the right rear fender to have all the scratches on it and not have it grab that right rear and slap the right front into the fence, because when that wall catches that right front, that's when the damage really starts to increase in the possibilities of doing damage. So you definitely want to run this whole run. As bad as the car gets, you need to know what the tire wear is so that you can see what the problems are that you're going to have to deal with the tires. So I like a lot of these guys that are making these long runs to be able to understand what they need to do inside the car, but also for the teams to be able to look at that tire wear. And when you stop and start, you don't get a really good read on that.
So Riley Herbst has the 3rd best consecutive 20 laps behind Hocevar and Cindric, ahead of Kyle Busch and Eric Jones. Jones has now gone to the top of the practice chart with the fastest lap, 29.925. He and Riley Herbst have identical laps. Jones on his first, Herbst on his second. Here's Eric.
Yeah, and Eric Jones has always been really good here at Darlington. I expect that to be the same way this weekend. He just has a really good knack for being able to control the throttle and keep that car straight and where he wants to run on the racetrack. You do have options on both ends, especially as the tire wear goes. You can run right up against the wall, which I think is the preferred place to be to take care of the tires the best on both ends. But you can also run down there on that white line. You can put the right side tires on those hash marks. You can clip the apron here into turn 1, half the car, just a little bit of the car, the whole car. Or you can run up the racetrack right there and get a higher entry so that you're pointed in the right direction in the middle of the corner sooner, so you can get down this patch off of turn 2.
Wow, that's about as slow a lap as I've seen around there with this car in recent memory. Did you hear how much he backed that corner up and just barely could get on the gas at all through 1 and 2?
32.90 that last lap. Yep.
And a lot of time when you're running up next to the wall, you know, you're looking in front of yourself, and you take that sound from the car with the tailpipe sealed up against the wall to be able to understand where you're at and how close you are to the wall. So not only are you visually looking at it, but you're using the sound of the exhaust pipes to know how close you are to the wall with the pitch of the sound back to your ears.
Practice continues for Group 1 at Darlington. 8 minutes to go. NASCAR on Prime, Cup practice and qualifying is brought to you by Subway. Fuel up with a $3.99 protein packet. Red flag is out during this practice session because of this.
Low on the racetrack. Timmy Hill around backwards, Kevin.
Yeah, he was extremely low on the racetrack right there. I'm not sure.
He'd only run 5 laps.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he was trying to do. If he was trying to run the apron right there, or if he was actually trying to get to pit road. Pit road extremely tricky right here. You'll come down the hill about. You see that yellow line as we just went out of the shot right there. But getting onto pit road right here is.
This might be able to tell us.
Kind of blind.
From Connor Zilic.
He was way. I think he was definitely on the apron.
Yeah.
Think he was trying to pit.
I don't. I think he was. You can run that whole car. There's just a little less banking right below those hash marks, and a lot of times we saw it in the trucks last night. You can run down there because the racetrack stays a little bit cleaner, and try to hook those right side tires on those hash marks as it rubbers up on the bottom.
I'm afraid I'm looked over. He's a couple seconds off the pace on his fast lap. I'd say he had his hands full. Obviously, it spun out.
Yeah.
But that's probably why he was on the apron.
Not a mark on it, though.
Well, that's because he started spinning, clearing the apron. He ended up barely out of the wall.
You know, Buddy Baker spent a lot of years in the booth, CBS and TNN. What he used to say of incidents like that, he started that wreck, he just didn't finish it.
Yeah. Hey, I can say this about this place. Don't ever make that mistake here. I did it one time and I'll never do it again. Say you flat side that right side and you worried about that right front blowing out. So you give yourself a little extra room. That's a bad mistake. Get closer to the wall. Closer to the wall hurts way less.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. did a nice job on pit road last night for the truck race in our drivers only telecast. Non-vegan. I think that's pretty funny. You got to. We live in a sport where DEI has nothing to do with diversity and equity. DEI is Dale Earnhardt Incorporated.
That's right. Well, I can promise you what they're in the business of. It is non-vegan. We are beef and beef only.
All right, what does Connor Zilic think of his car?
Thanks. Yeah, it honestly better than I was expecting there. I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, me too. We can work on it from there for sure.
Talk about not knowing what to expect, Kevin. Woo! Tall order here for Connor Zilic.
Yeah, well, the learning curve is steep, and you see the right side of that race car right there. These cars are actually pretty durable, so you can be a fair amount more aggressive than probably the O'Reilly car or the truck for sure. The truck is by far the weakest when it comes to rubbing it up against the wall, but that's some pretty good wall contact right there. Actually rub the wrap all the way through down to the bodywork. So, but still. Not a big deal, and definitely something that you're going to see on probably every car here for the most part.
Justin Allgaier in the 48 this week, and Hendrick Motorsports announced earlier this week that Alex Bowman would sit out Darlington and the next 2 races as he continues his recovery from vertigo symptoms that are still present. And Jeff Andrews, making a statement, said, "We are still 100% behind Alex, and we hope that 3 weeks, 3 races plus Easter gives him the necessary time he needs to be able to get back in the race car, and can't wait to see him back." So it means Allgaier does double duty for these next 3 races in a row. Larry Mack?
Yeah, Mike. Carson Hocevar in the 77 car. Right now he's running 23 laps. He's 4th quickest. He got into the wall a while ago and bent the right rear toe ring. The team actually changed it before that last run. What I'm trying to find out from NASCAR, is that an approved adjustment even during practice? Because when you look at impound changes, you can adjust the front toe, but you can't adjust the rear toe. Obviously, that's what the toe link controls in the rear.
Larry, in my next life, I think I want to be the guy that sells the toe links. Especially here.
We're going to hear a lot about him this weekend.
I think there's a toe link bar down there in the infield somewhere. As a matter of fact, I saw it.
Hey, guys, I don't know what would be more valuable, the tires or toe links.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to be in the tire business here.
A.J. Allmendinger ran the truck race last night. Did not plan to, but one of the scheduled drivers was suspended, and he was asked to take over the ride and did yeoman's work last night. Now back on more familiar ground here. He is 9th quickest in this session.
What was the end you concentrated on the most here, Clint?
For me, it was the exit of turn 2. I wanted to be, carry that momentum. When I got to the throttle, 1 and 2, you walk the car through the corner, through the middle of the corner, you kind of lift a little bit, let the car set, and then go. But if you can't stay with that throttle on the exit of 2, this lap is dead. And then 3 and 4 for me was always the more challenging corner. Getting through there, trying to run the wall. Quite frankly, I wasn't good at running the wall. I had to stay off of it. If I flirted with it, I kissed it every single time.
Yeah, and that's the hard part in this car. Everybody's going to, for the most part, as the run goes, migrate up to the wall in 3 and 4. And I always felt like if I could just maintain in 3 and 4 and get off of turn 4 good, that I could cut that apron and try to get track position, get the position on them in the middle of 1 and 2 to put them in a bad spot on the exit. So you got to pick an end to get your car right to try to set up those passes. But I always felt like it was easier to make that pass in turn 1 later in the run. Now on the restarts, you gotta go wherever you need to go to make ground.
Now, this is not a throwback paint scheme. This is just the one the Wood brothers run most of the time.
Yeah.
It's certainly a historic paint scheme for the Wood brothers, and nobody dominated Darlington like the Silver Fox, David Pearson. 12 poles, most all time. 10 wins, most all time. And he holds the record for the fastest 400-mile race ever run here.
It's a throwback scheme. It always will be. It's legendary.
I love
what it is. Love the Wood brothers. Larry,
well,
how about
I got the
Matoli?
answer on Carson Hocevar. That is an approved adjustment during practice. So right now, wherever he qualifies, that's where he can start the race tomorrow.
Good news. Good. Michael McDowell is 6th on the chart here. As we said earlier, last fall he had the fastest lap of practice at a 29:007. We'll see how that stands up against Group 2 as just 1 minute to go in this session. McDowell, however, does not appear in the top 10 on any of the consecutive lap run markers that we use, and here it's 10, 15, 20, and 30 laps.
Yeah, you see him practicing getting on pit road right there, and
Smart.
you see the smoke fly out of the left front tire. Really easy to lock those tires up as you get to pit road because it's just dirty on the apron with all the debris and everything. But these guys will have to basically use the outside wall where it says Darlington Raceway right there.
Yep.
That's your turn-in point to just turn it left down the hill and hope for the best.
And the left is so extreme you can't see it. Like you're looking at this, what Kevin just said, but you have to be here. You got markers right here, but that is such an extreme turn in that you have to look out almost to your side window to even see it. And then all of a sudden, oh no, you jerk on the wheel and spin yourself out.
So Rockingham and Darlington are about an hour apart driving, and both of them are in the sand hills of the Carolinas. So this sand just blows everywhere, and yeah,
it's always made the apron. When you pull out on the racetrack, Kevin, you hear the rocks and the sand hit. They can blow this thing off a million times. You pull back out there, and
never gonna clean it up.
Eric Jones wins Group 1 practice. Both of the legacy cars were top 5 here last fall. The NWSL on Prime is back this Friday. Angel City FC takes on the Houston Dash in a can't-miss matchup, 10 Eastern, only on Prime. Look at that billboard. There are 24 Cup race wins represented right there. David Pearson on the left with 10, Dale Earnhardt on the right with 9, and the hometown hero, Cale Yarborough, with 5. All right, Clint, here you go.
Check this out, guys. We've been telling you about fall off. Look at this. Fresh tires, 20-lap old tires. Eric Jones. Same driver, same car. Woo. Seems to be a lot.
This one is pretty simple to explain. New tires are better than old tires.
Yeah, I think this guy's going to win, right, Kev? Yeah. This version of Eric Jones is definitely faster than the 20-lap version. Regan.
Well, let's get it firsthand from Regan.
Well, guys, let's ask Eric Jones about this. He's watching what we are right now, and a lot of fall off out there. You're always so good at Darlington, one of those guys that we always look for to be up towards the front of the pack. But what do you think when you see it put in reference like that?
Yeah, it's kind of fun to watch. It does feel slow in the car as you get going, but you're so on edge, and I don't know, it's fun. Obviously I like coming here quite a bit, but it's interesting to drive. It reminds me, we were talking just to the old car and the low downforce we used to run with the power then, and yeah, just sliding around goes really free. It'll be interesting to race tomorrow. I hope it doesn't get so tough to drive it's hard to pass. I hope we can still race, but it definitely has a ton of fall off.
Definitely been a lot of fun to watch out there so far. And Mike, I got to say personally, absolutely love seeing this Petty Blue 43 out there.
How about that? What a nice throwback to when Wally Donneback drove for the King. Eric Jones has 2 wins at Darlington, one of 8 drivers in the field who have been to victory lane here.
Tonight, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series is back on track for racing action at 5:30 p.m. Eastern on the CW. And tomorrow, the Cup Series races at historic Darlington Raceway at 3 p.m. Eastern on FS1.
All right, Group 1 is done for practice. Eric Jones fastest. Group 2 waiting to come out. Larry?
With Billy Scott, crew chief for Tyler Reddick, that has more radios on than I probably wore combined my entire crew chief career. Billy, 1 set of tires, 25-minute practice. Talk about what a challenge that is, especially if the car's not right.
Yeah, exactly right. You hope you get it right here off the truck, because as quick as the tires fall off, but you don't have much of an opportunity to come in and adjust on it and get any sort of read going back out. So most of it is, say, hey, go run 40 laps for us and adjust to it as you go.
Well, Mike, based on Group 1, all these radios, and all I heard was loose, loose, loose.
Okay. Group 2 drivers loaded in and ready to practice. Chase Briscoe there. Even out in the parking lot, we have throwbacks. This is a Pontiac Grand Prix. Like Richard Petty raced, Tim Richmond, and others, and that is all dressed up, replicating Carson Hocevar's car this weekend, and I think he gets to drive this, does he not?
Be careful saying replicating. It might be his car.
Yeah. He might have drove that to the racetrack.
I'm thinking it probably is his car.
Okay. Well, looks a lot like that one, doesn't it? That's cool. I love it when the teams are all in on the whole throwback thing, and you don't have to just do it at Darlington, but it just seems so appropriate here.
Well, you're an old school kind of guy, Mike.
Thank you.
This place is an old school kind of track. It fits.
The new schools weren't built then when I went to school, Clint.
You're going to go to school, and we're going to see some people going to school right here. We'll learn a little bit in the first group. Mind you, a lot of these guys right here, a lot of the hitters in this sport have teammates that were in that first group. Always learning within the Cup Series, using whatever tools you have, Kevin.
Well, all the hitters are in this group, and I think that you had Riley Herbst in the first group, so obviously Tyler Reddick's teammate gives you a great idea of air pressure, travels, all the things that you need to learn. So they'll have listened to that and made some adjustments on their car to hopefully get that where they need it to be. All the Penske cars had Austin Cindric. We saw him get in the wall. So a lot is learned in the first practice, but as you get into the second practice, we know that most of the cars in this group are the guys that we would pick from to win this race on Sunday.
I want to watch the takeoff speed. I mean, obviously, we saw where Jones, he took off at a 29.92, was the fastest in that first group. I think this group will probably be more apt to just settle in and work on long run speed and not care so much about that big lap up front, Kevin.
Slow down the back straightaway. Were they trying to keep the goodie in the tires for the timed laps?
Well, they're all trying to get themselves spaced out so that they can get a good read on their car without having the air from another car affect the front end and get a false read on the handling of their car. But Kyle Larson on the pole for the O'Reilly's race today, so we know how good he is here. We've talked a lot about his race cars. They did a great job in Vegas last week, and I think that was a good building block for the Chevrolets and Hendrick Motorsports to understand where the balance of their car was and what they've got to work with on the 1.5 mile racetracks. A little different aero package here, and you're going to have to go through the same thing. But the good news is everybody else is going to have to go through the same thing today as well.
You know, I had a little bit a different perspective, a unique perspective, if you will, of Kyle Larson this week. We went on vacation with our kids for the kids' at spring break to Colorado. And I'm telling you, 3 times a day, he was in meetings for hours at a time. They debrief, they post-race, I couldn't believe how many meetings that this kid had with not only his team, but the manufacturer, within the organization, and Hendrick, meetings all day long. We had meetings obviously back in our day, Kevin, but nothing to the extent of what I experienced this week with him.
Well, that's where the Cup Series has migrated to, because you don't have any practice. So you have to go through the simulation and you have to go through the data and you have to go through the plan and the structure, because you don't have the time to be able to work through things. And then you add the new body into their equation as well. So you're trying to learn at a rapid pace and get everything right as quick as you can to be that car that is setting the pace on the racetrack.
Another set of commemorative schemes from RFK Racing. Their Fords all salute Greg Biffle this week. They're all running the Biffle style number of Greg's number 16. And there's one, each replicating a different race in the Biff's career. The 60, Ryan Preece, throws back to Biffle's standard paint scheme of 2009, whereas Chris Buescher, Talladega in 2011, and Brad Keselowski throws back to Biff's scheme in Daytona 2009. Nice tribute. Yeah. And that's on the asphalt along the front straightaway here.
Never forget the Biff.
Nope.
What an amazing person, talent behind the wheel. I just had another reminder this morning. I flew into Darlington in a little plane, walked in the lobby there. Kevin, the only time I ever see, this is pretty rare, I sat on the pole here back in the Jack Daniels car, and I looked up and it was me and Greg Biffle in the front row, and I was like, dang. Just another reminder of how important he was to this sport of NASCAR.
He won 2 Cup races here. He was good
everywhere.
Yep.
You know, and I think Greg just had that. He had an amazing ability to control the car, and this is a place where you have to be able to slide the car, but not overslide the car, and be able to manage the throttle and everything that goes with all those moments before it does it, and being able to anticipate all those things, like right here in turn 2, and be able to know when that front end's going to slide, and just the perfect timing to get that car back down the hill. And it's such a finesse racetrack to be able to put that car into the right spot as the run goes on. So what a great place. I loved racing here. This is one of the places that I miss coming back to every year from the driver's seat.
Here's Tyler Reddick. That was Brad Keselowski. This is Tyler Reddick.
Well, just kind of picking up where we've left off every single race so far. This 45 is lights out. You saw him as we were riding along with on Keselowski's car, the 45 blow by him. Excuse me, that was the 60 car that he was, but nonetheless, his car is extremely fast. Again, need grip here, Kevin. You've been preaching to me, I need grip. These Toyotas are making really good grip so far in 2026.
You can't beat grip, Clint. You know that, and I think that, you know, this particular weekend, with all the things that are different, the car that has the most grip is obviously going to be the car that's probably the fastest. And last week, the car that had the most grip won the race at Las Vegas with Denny Hamlin. So you got to balance that with a little bit of experience and all the things that it takes to race here at Darlington, but more grip, more speed.
Looking at Denny Hamlin. Larry, we've talked about all of the unknowns coming into this race and how these cars are going to slide around. Nobody knows what to expect. What's the vibe down there as these drivers climb out of these cars? Are they happy? Are they upset? Are they scowling? Are they frowning? What are you seeing?
Well, one thing I have learned about Darlington, Mike, and I've been coming here since 1980, even when my driver was leading the race, he was not happy with that race car. I see a lot of drivers just kind of shaking their head. Even Eric Jones, that was pretty quick during that practice. I think he even asked questions about his race car. One thing about Kyle Larson I want to add in there about the 5 car, Kyle ran 5 laps. Cliff Daniels told him, Kyle, it's not going to get better. Bring it in now. Let's make adjustments before we put more laps on this car.
Good point. Thanks, Larry. Denny Hamlin's run 10 laps. He is 14th on the board and 5th in Group 2. Ryan Blaney Had some really insightful commentary last night in the truck race. I'm glad you guys had fun. Kevin, Ryan, and Joey Logano called the truck race last night. Had a lot of fun with it. Where's Blaney on the board?
Next to last, Mike.
That's why I couldn't find him. I'm not accustomed to looking down there.
Not very Blaney-like, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you see his teammate right there in front of him. So,
all right, that's on the quick lap. Now, and again, to your point, Kevin, right there, 35th and 36th, that's 2 Penske cars, and it's the 2 champions of the Penske Brigade. But let's see where their fall off is. Just because they didn't take off fast, this is a different animal here. I need this thing to hold on. How do I do that? Don't blister those tires and beat them up early. If it's bad on the long run, we're in trouble.
And let's not forget, it was the exact same way at Las Vegas last week when we had practice, and the 12 car ran just fine.
Exactly.
There is the fall off that Blaney has experienced, almost a full second here over 12 laps. Daniel Suarez fastest in Group 2 at Darlington. 17 minutes to go. Welcome back to Prime. NASCAR on Prime from Darlington Raceway. Practice for Group 2 with qualifying to follow. And this group is topsy-turvy because way down at the bottom of the sheet, fellas you'd expect to be fast. Christopher Bell 25th, Bubba Wallace 27th, Zane Smith 32nd, Chase Elliott 33rd, and Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney right in the basement.
Much like I said, though, be careful counting Blaney out. Let's keep an eye on our best consecutive 20, 30 as we go on into these runs. I think Blaney's going to be all right on this long run if I'm watching his fall off here.
Yeah, and sometimes here you go off and try to just take care of the tires the first couple laps when you're trying to run the air pressure really low, or you're sitting the back of the car down so much, or the whole car, and hitting the rub blocks too hard off it into the exit of turn 2 and off of turn 2. So I always like the car to over drag the ground in the first 5 laps of the run here so that it had more grip after that. But in order to do that, you have to manage it to be able to get off the corner.
This car right here, folks, don't count him out. He's been hot here the last 2 or 3 weekends. Ty Gibbs, he's fast again, particularly on a long run. Been smooth with that pedal, taking care of these Goodyear tires.
And we saw that last week at Las Vegas. At the end of several of those runs, that 54 car would come out of nowhere and really be able to put himself in a position. But got that speeding penalty last week, he and Denny Hamlin, and both drove themselves back all the way to the to the top 5, and Denny Hamlin winning the race. So
we've lit a fire under the 54.
Yes, he's had a great 3 weeks. Christopher Bell on the second page of the rundown.
Yeah, you see the back of that car step out off of turn 2. And I can promise you guys, after doing the truck race last night, he got a good night's sleep, because his truck was out of control yesterday, sideways, and he drove the heck out of that thing, just keeping it in contention. But man, was it loose.
Now, I've wanted to ask you this ever since I watched on the truck race and heard you say that Christopher Bell is running all 3 races this weekend: truck, O'Reilly, and the Cup race. Wow. Why would you want to beat yourself up that bad?
Well, I think that it's just laps. And he actually said this in his pre-race interview. Just being able to just make laps. The O'Reilly car and the truck drive nothing. He will learn nothing other than what he learns in the seat from a driver's perspective on restarts, low, on the apron, knowing all the bumps and the visuals and everything that come with this racetrack, to be able to put yourself in a rhythm on Sunday in the Cup cars. So laps around this racetrack, so important to be able to get them, and he's going to get plenty this weekend.
Yes, he is.
Well, hey guys, just a quick update also, as we see these cars in group number 2 getting upwards of 23, 24, and 25 laps. Took a glance at group 1 cars that were around 30 laps on tires, and there was a little concern this morning in the garage about what right sides would look like. Of course, this is a different compound than what we ran at Darlington last year. I can tell you the ones that I scanned through looked really good, so potentially not necessarily an issue with the tires wearing out too much, just slowing down as they're wearing out.
All right, now Tyler Reddick has risen to the top of the best consecutive 15 and 20 laps. Ty Gibbs up there in the Fast Five as well for the best consecutive 20-lap average.
Kind of what I said at the top of the show. It's Toyota's game still. It looks to me like on the grip game, they're winning. But much like last weekend, there was a lot of them that took a shot at him. Blaney, we had him after today, last Saturday, we had all the Fords rode off, Kevin, and in particular those Penske cars, and they ran good all day long.
Yeah, and right now at lap 25, it looks like Blaney's 3 or 4 tenths off of where Reddick and Gibbs are. So they definitely have some work to do to be able to put themselves in a spot to be able to compete with Reddick and Ty Gibbs. So it'll be interesting. These teams are so good overnight. They'll go through and make thousands of runs on their simulation to be able to try to nitpick these cars and get the details right of everything that they need to do to maximize the ride height and all the things that they can adjust on the car for race morning. Larry?
Yeah, Ryan Priest, that 60 car, he's been talking to his crew chief, Derek Finley. He just said, we're terrible. I'm sideways off the corner. I can't feel my front end. And this, just when I think I've heard it all, I've never heard this from a driver. He said, look, here's the deal. I need the back to do what the front's doing, and I need the front to do what the back's doing. Kevin, I think what I'd do right there is say, look, I'm out of here. I'll see you at Martinsville.
Go back. Sounds to me like you need to go backwards.
Yeah, well, let's put that thing in reverse and see how it drives.
He's got a throwback car for throwback weekend. Yep.
We're in trouble.
Well, I think what's happened, I think with the downforce being out of the cars, and Larry and I, we were talking with Larry about this a few minutes ago. They know that the cars are going to be extremely loose and the back is going to be all over the place. So they've, it sounds like a lot of them have overshot the tightness. You're not going to fix the back completely, but they've got the balance of the race car so tight that the drivers can't turn off the wall into the corners. So, I think it's one of those situations to where you're not fixing the back of the car. You're going to have to manage it, but you got to get the front to be able to turn somewhere.
It's like they're mechanically tightening it up with the chassis, right, to overcome the aero deficiency of the rear. And the mechanical side of it's not talking to the aero side of it. That's what's so important and why you always preach to me about the simulation, and that's where it's won and lost today's day and age is marrying those two together. You got mechanical grip with your shocks and springs, and you got aero grip with the body.
8 minutes to go in Group 2, then we'll switch over to qualifying. Tyler Reddick on top of the consecutive lap list for 15, 20, and 30 laps. Five and a half minutes to go in Group 2 practice. It's been interesting watching Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell go at it. They're a few car lengths apart. This is Reddick's onboard camera. He had a big moment while we were in break.
Oh my gosh. That is a massive moment right there going into turn one. And sometimes he's been really playing with that high groove on the entry into turn one, and that thing took off with the back of the car right there. That is a massive moment.
You know what about right there, Kevin? These two right here are putting on a show. Both of them extremely fast on a long run, kind of matching each other lap after lap. I hate to say this, but it's more impressive to me that Bell, again, not a deficiency, we're lap after lap, the same on the lap times, and he's running right with him. The difference is he's in the wake and able to run the same. You put that 20 car in the front of the 45, and he probably drives away from him because of the air.
Well, he's in a totally different line, too. I mean, Bell's running the bottom of 3 and 4. You see him right through the middle of 1 and 2. Now he's going to try.
But he's having to stay out of the wake of the 45.
That's right. You have to be versatile here to be able to make any ground, and that's I agree with you, which is rare.
Come on, keep going. Stay out of this, Mike.
We're going to make that short.
Oh, yep. That's it?
That's it. That's all you get.
Tune in tomorrow.
But look, see, he's turning back down the hill. He's maneuverable. That car, still can't believe as they hit that. Whoa, you can hear it. The car jumps up and almost spins the tires, doesn't it? In the exit of 2.
Yeah, I mean, it'll actually raise the RPM up. You can hear it on the screen right there every time that they go over that. I was never able to do what Tyler Reddick is doing right here with that really wide entry, that late turn down into 2. I was more the style of Christopher Bell, right sides on the hash mark, looking for that cleaner racetrack. You see how the middle of the racetrack's a little bit cleaner. kind of manage the throttle on exit. I always felt like that was easier on the race car to be able to manage the tires through turns 1 and 2. But down here, this is where Bell, you know, those left sides on the hash mark, you see him miss it right there a little bit. But Reddick right up against the fence. And we know that Reddick does a really good job at being able to ride the wall. He and Larson do it better than anybody else.
Reddick has run the most laps of anybody in this practice. This will be his 40th.
Well, and that's exactly where Billy Scott told us he wanted to run to. He wanted to get to lap 40 because that's what a number of these runs are going to be tomorrow as we go through the race. So getting to that 40 lap mark, super important to be able to check all the tire wear, get a good idea on the pressure so that you know how much they built up to. And for the driver, I love being able to run 40 laps straight at this racetrack and be able to get in that rhythm. The hard part is remembering what you're supposed to do when you're going to run 3 seconds faster in qualifying.
Temperature low 80s today, high 80s tomorrow, up near 90 expected.
As we look at Chase Briscoe right here, obviously won a couple races at this racetrack over the past couple of years. So does a really good job here. We know that we've been talking about the Joe Gibbs Racing and Tyler Reddick and 2311 car, the Toyotas in general. He'll be a contender, I think, as the day goes on with his success at this racetrack, but he needs it, Clint.
All right, it's my turn. I agree with you, Kevin.
Yes.
That's it, though.
Yes.
And now he will be. Good racetrack for him. It's a dirt racer. I mean, think about all these guys that are good at this racetrack. Reddick, running that wall so close to the wall, right on the boards. Drive this track with the throttle a lot. You hear him driving the car through the corner. You talk about rear grip. That's all in that throttle pedal.
6 drivers have run 40 or more laps as this session draws to a close. Reddick, Gibbs, Briscoe, Suarez, Blaney, and Hamlin.
Yeah, and that's Ty Gibbs right in front of him right there. And you see how the 54 car in front of him was able to kind of get to the 3/4 mark of turn 4 right there and kind of fade back down to the middle. I liked being able to do that and kind of straighten that exit out because the exit of turn 4 has a big knob in the wall as you come off the corner, so you have to give yourself a little bit room. But with all these cars migrating to the top of the racetrack, it definitely will be interesting to see what the passing looks like.
Well, neither Joey Logano nor Ryan Blaney show up in the top 10 of any of our consecutive run averages, so there's work to do here.
You're exactly right, but look at that last one clear over to the right. And I've been watching Blaney on my graph here that I'm going to try to get to in a little bit.
Yep.
Kind of like what we talked about. He didn't have that fast takeoff lap, but at the end, he's pretty sporty, folks.
On the 30-lap run,
Don't give up on him just quite yet.
Right.
Kevin's given up on him.
I'm giving you the thumbs
Austin
down
Dillon
there.
has the 21st fastest lap overall and 10th fastest in Group 2 here. And that'll do it for Group 2 practice as everybody rolls around back to pit road. Those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook, coverage will continue on Prime Video with qualifying getting underway soon. Eric Jones had the fastest single lap of practice, 164.3 miles per hour. Tyler Reddick, best 15, 20, and 30 laps. Austin Cindric, best 10 lap average. Regan?
Well, Mike, we've talked a lot about veterans and what Darlington's like to them and all the slipping and sliding. Connor Zilic, this is your first trip here in a Cup car, so I guess you don't have anything to compare to. Is that a good thing, the way these cars are all over?
A little bit of an equalizer for me, but yeah, our Red Bull Chevrolet has got a little bit of speed in it. I feel a little more confident than I have in the weeks past. So yeah, everybody's learning on the fly and trying to figure this new package out, but it certainly is fun slipping and sliding around and, having to throttle, having to be patient off the corner and work with it. So looking forward to the race tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right, good luck in qualifying coming up. It goes out fourth, Mike.
Thanks. We should mention Regan Smith has a victory here at Darlington. Kevin Harvick leads the commentary crew with 3. NASCAR race day, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on FS1 tomorrow. And the Goodyear 400 is on FS1, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Denny Hamlin, last year's winner. Chase Briscoe's won 2 of the last 3 here.
Okay, let's go to the graph here. Take a crack at this, Kevin. Try to explain what I was talking about through practice.
You're on your own.
First and foremost, lap times are right here, right? Lower is faster, higher is slower. It's as simple as that. When you're looking at fall-offs, you look at the long runs, you see lap times down here, speed up here. Look how much better the purple car of Reddick is taking off from 54. Ty Gibbs, you see this right here? A lot of gap right here, a lot faster. As they get down here, the last half and the money half, in my opinion, of these tires in the fall off of this racetrack, pretty competitive against Gibbs and Tyler Reddick. Now you look at the 12 cars. Keep an eye on this 12 car. Way slow taking off compared to them, but just like I was talking about, on the back half of these runs, he got down there and was pretty consistent right in through here and following suit to these fast cars. Now, how can a teammate, Denny Hamlin, be so slow all the way through? We know he knows how to get around here. He wants to know what those 2 teammates are doing. You can't come in and pit. You can't do any of that stuff. He'll be able to work on that, make some adjustments, and make that car like those other 2 Toyotas.
Well, that
12 car ain't as bad as you think.
I'm not saying he's bad at
you said
at the end of the
thumbs
run,
down,
but he's 4 seconds behind in 15 laps. And
No,
that's
no, no.
going to be the problem. Is you got to be able to figure out how to balance that out.
You know how we're going to make that up? We're going to qualify better.
You're fired.
We're going to qualify better.
You're fired.
We'll be qualifying when we come back to Darlington.
You got that stat guy down there telling you there was 4 seconds, too. Stacking up against me, folks.
Welcome back to Darlington. Full sun, a light breeze, temperatures in the low 80s. Nice day for racing. Bad day to be a beer, it said on that flag. I don't know why. What could be bad about that? Timmy Hill will be our first driver to qualify, according to the NASCAR metric of car owner positions. And as he fires off and leaves pit road, let's check with Larry.
Yeah, Mike, I'm here with Austin Cindric. Austin, 3rd quickest in that practice, best 10-lap average. Now that you've run this package here, everybody's been anticipating. What do you think now?
Yeah, well, it's kind of you got to do a bit of a control-alt-delete on the last, 25 laps I did of practice, because you go from not trusting any combined load in your car to going out there and definitely running the fastest lap of the weekend. So this place is always very hairy and a lot of fun in qualifying to put it on that limit, but yeah, it should be a decent lap.
So is that going to be a problem going out there and picking up about 3 to 4 seconds from the last lap you just ran?
That's why I'm here, Larry. Freightliner Ford Mustang's fast, and yeah, time to go show it.
Well, guys, I know they want to get to victory lane, but what they're looking for right now is their first top 15 finish of the year.
Thanks, Larry. Timmy Hill making his first start of the season. His last 2 Cup races were also here at Darlington in the fall the last 2 years.
Well, Timmy was backwards in practice today, so definitely tough to go from spinning out, trying to go out there and get the most out of that car, but he does a good job here at Darlington.
Cody Ware has 7 Darlington starts, best finish of 19th here in 2022, and he was pretty good in practice. He had the 18th quickest lap overall.
It'll be really interesting to see what these fast laps actually are as we get, some of the guys that you see Cody get really loose right there in 3 and 4 that we expect to run fast speeds early on in this session. But we know it's going to be just like every other week. The track's going to clean up and continuously get faster as we run.
Well, he practiced at 30.393, and here he times into 30.309, so right on top of his practice lap. Todd Gilliland up next. 4 top 15s and 8 Darlington starts.
And that's why those early laps in practice are really important here, because a lot of times the speed that you run in qualifying is very similar. So having those markers and things getting in the corners to be able to run a similar lap time that you did first on the racetrack is really important to understand.
If you squint and look at the gold stripes against the red and the white, you might see Bill Elliott's scheme from the 1980s on this throwback. 29.99 is the lap for Todd Gilliland, and that's almost half a second faster than he practiced. Connor Zilisch making his first Cup start at Darlington. He has one O'Reilly start here, finished 6th last year.
Need a solid weekend out of this 88 car. Need to start getting the ball rolling. Don't want to lose his confidence, Kevin. Confidence is everything in his sport. Mired clear back in 35th in points already.
Yeah, and you saw him really fast in the first third of that corner in 1 and 2. Kind of gave some up through the middle in the exit compared to Todd Gilliland, but always hard to judge the speed and how far you need to drive that car into the corner in turn 3 without sliding the thing all the way up into the fence.
Especially when you don't have any experience doing it. First time ever right there.
Well, Zilisch had a 30.08 in practice. He times in at 30.09. Josh Berry, 5 Darlington starts, finished 3rd here in 2024. His best practice lap was 30.18. Wood Brothers Ford, good entry into 1. And didn't give it up off 2.
No, he didn't. Stayed with the gas and keeps growing on that backstretch. Discipline getting into the corner. Lifted early. Squeeze the gas a little bit in the center, but turn back down the hill. We're riding off into the sunset here. Here we go.
Yep, going to be a good lap for Berry. 29.87 with an 8. So that's 0.3 better than he practiced. Last year, or last fall, the pole here was Denny Hamlin at 28.69. All right, Ty Dillon for Colleague Racing. Best finish of 12th in 12 Darlington starts. His best practice lap was a 30.67.
You know, using last year as that time, the 69 that you just spoke of, I wouldn't think nobody would touch that, obviously, because of the rule change with the downforce. But if anybody gets close to that, they've done something.
Well, we talk about Josh Berry as Ty Dillon finishes his lap right here. You talk about Josh Berry. I think what he did in qualifying is very typical for the Fords. We were talking about that during the break. The Fords seem to be able to pick up more time, you know, from their practice speeds compared to the other makes.
Ty Dillon picked up a 10th from practice. Here's Shane Van Gisbergen, who finished last at Las Vegas. Had a lot of splitter damage from his spin.
Well, unfortunately, struggled in practice too. 34th in practice on the sheet. Got it rotated and turned back down the hill good. Has it cracked out of the gas. Here we go.
He's going to improve on that 30.74 from practice.
I agree.
Yeah, that car actually looks really good through the middle of the corner. Josh Berry put down a really good lap, but SVG is going to be
4th at a 30.12, and that is a pickup of 0.6 of a second from his best practice lap. Noah Gragson has 2 O'Reilly Series wins at Darlington, and he has 2 14th place Cup finishes in 5 starts here. His best practice lap was a 30.58.
Another guy, we just need a solid weekend. Hasn't been able to put together the entire weekend. Has had some ups and downs through the course of the first few races here, but in dire need of some stage points and just get out of here with a positive momentum and mojo.
Yeah, and he chose to run the bottom of the racetrack, and I think if he had to go do that over again, he'd move up the hill.
It was just because of the exit, right, Kev?
Yeah, well, he just had to. A lot of times when you get that car down low and you try to slide it up in the middle of the corner, it almost feels like you're in no man's land, but still a decent lap for Noah.
And another Ford pickup.
And he picked up 0.6 from practice. Gregson now 2nd. Cole Custer, also a Saturday winner at Darlington. That was back in 2019. 9 Cup starts here with the best finish of 11. His best practice lap, 30.56.
Yeah, you saw Cole right there. Had to pedal the thing a little bit off of turn 2. You want to be as close to wide open off of turn 2 as possible. I think that this higher line in qualifying is going to be the place to be. I think Noah just exposed that, trying to run the bottom after he had such a great 1 and 2.
30-42 for Custer. He picks up a 10.5. Ricky Stenhouse next, making his 21st Darlington start. His best result, an 8th place finish in this race 4 years ago. Stenhouse in practice 30.67.
Ooh, just barely touched the wall, it looked like, right there with the back.
But did not come out of the gas. Very important. Used all the real estate, but it didn't slow him down.
I don't think lift is in this boy's vocabulary.
Aggression is. Look at this. As long as he doesn't have to lift at the wall, yeah.
Well, from
absolutely.
A 30.67 to a 29.72. That is 9/10 of a second pickup. Wow.
Got some of that beef jerky in him. How about you? Good job, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Ten of 37 drivers have been on the clock. Ricky Stenhouse picked up almost a full second from practice and is fastest as drivers review data and talk it over with their teams. Eric Jones will go out in this group of 9 drivers before the next break in the action.
Eric's always done a really good job here. He's just got a great knack for this racetrack. I can't wait to see what that whole group has on Sunday.
Now, in some ways, he reminds me a lot of David Pearson. He takes what the car will give him, but when it's time to go, if the car is there, he can get the job done here.
Well, in order to win here, you know, you saw it in that Darrell Waltrip quote earlier. You have to be cool. You have to take your time and keep the right side of the car on there and keep yourself out of trouble all day. Keep yourself rolling until the end of this one, and you'll have a chance.
Justin Allgaier's a 3-time winner here on Saturday, but he's making his first Cup start at Darlington since 2015. His best lap in practice was a 30.67.
Not as easy to bounce back and forth from series to series as it used to be, Kevin. Obviously, so many things that are different. The car itself, the shifting. My gosh, you have to shift both ends of the corner where you don't in the other one. A lot of difference here.
Well, he's got a great lap going right here.
Top of the chart, 29.62. That is 95/100ths faster than his best practice lap. Well done.
That's impressive. Very impressive.
Kyle Busch, top 10 in his last 3 Darlington starts, a former winner here. He and his son Brexton will be racing at Anderson Speedway tonight in Legends cars. So if you're in the Carolinas, take a ride down. A lot of cool racetracks here in South Carolina. You got Florence, you got Carolina Motorsports Park in Kershaw, great little road course. And one of the all-time greats, Greenville Pickens Speedway, where they are trying to fight off developers and keep that property as a racetrack, which is just getting tougher and tougher as we go. And here comes Kyle. He is putting it to it.
Use it all, but he did it.
30.11 in practice, 29.47.
Really good job right there.
P1.
That's how you get things swung back the other way. Bet on it. Good job.
Well, this has gone a little bit in a different direction than what I thought it was going to go as far as the pickups. We've seen Stenhouse really start the big pickups compared to what Josh Berry has run, and now Kyle Busch and Justin Allgaier did the same thing. So there is definitely some speed in the racetrack that is more than what I thought there would be.
Riley Herbst, second fastest in practice, making his 3rd Darlington start.
Makes you wonder if this track's cleaning up, Kevin.
Oh, it's definitely going to pick that rubber up as these guys run, but it's taken one of its first steps with a good lap by Riley there, P2.
He is second, 0.3 faster than he practiced. Michael McDowell, 30-11 in practice for McDowell.
Smoked the wall right there.
Did you see how much faster he carried into the corner than 8 car of Kyle Busch?
Actually,
and it somehow didn't slow him down much.
Gave up a little of it, but not that much.
He hit it hard, though. I'd say that's hard enough. We're probably going to need to look at a toe link and some front end stuff.
He hit it pretty square right there, so have to see about that one, but he definitely hit it way harder.
Well, just watching a ghost car alone, I mean, he got in a corner way harder than Kyle Busch.
Even with that contact, McDowell picked up 0.3 of a second. All right, Austin Cindric, third fastest in practice at a 30.01, has finished 13th or better his last 3.
Definitely lifted quite a bit, waiting on the separation. Same thing down here, right in the middle of the corner.
Fastest in practice, 29.92.
He's wheeling that thing, Kevin, pretty loose.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of those cars going up the hill slide the back out. Eric's car did the same thing, but
or ouch, as it were.
Yeah, we've seen 3 or 4 cars hit the wall right.
He was
already in this practice session, so a lot of loose race cars.
And that cost him
that wheel.
29.82. It's a 1/10 pickup. Here's the contact.
Yeah, and as you get that car up the hill, you're hoping that when you go back to that partial throttle, it just has enough grip to just rip the fence right there. And sometimes when you get it just a little bit too soon, it'll snap the back out and do exactly what happened to Eric right there.
So Jones was third here last fall. His teammate here, John Hunter Nemechek, was fourth. His best finish in 7 starts here. He had a 30.55 in practice. And Nemechek 29.77. That's a pickup of 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to, for most of these cars, you're going to have to pick up almost a second to put yourself where you need to be. And we know that right here, Carson Hocevar, he's going to be on the gas as he is every lap.
Fifth in practice with a 30.06. Let's see what the Margarita machine can do.
Got in the corner too hard, just like his teammate, and you saw him tap the wall, but he stayed with it. Didn't hit it
Got it again right there.
McDowell. Now he hit it on the exit. Both of those cars overdrove the entry pretty hard into turn 1.
Hocevar 30.06 in practice. Fifth with a 29.67.
Not bad for hitting the wall twice.
Picked up 0.4.
Yeah, he's already been through 1 toe link. Hitting that wall off of turn 2 is, as it bounces off of that seam and then up into the wall like that.
You definitely hit a lot harder over there. Well, you're going faster.
See him a little bit high right there. He's going to get out of the groove.
Look at that thing jump.
Boom. He was just too high.
I mean, the whole car come off the ground.
I know. Were the wheels off the ground? I mean, everything went way up there. Regan.
Mike Ryan Blaney going to be part of the next group of cars that get ready to go out in a moment here. A little further down the practice board than we're accustomed to seeing you. Should we read anything into that, or was it just a matter of saving tires?
I don't know. I thought my car was decent on the long run. I don't think you find one person on pit road that was like, yeah, my car was great on the long run. But you know, they're just a handful, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, I don't think I didn't fire off great, but I was kind of more focused on where did it go to. You know, so hopefully we have a decent idea about that. You know, from our practice run, try to put together a good qualifying lap. This place is always so tough to qualify. You know, you get out and your last lap of practice, you're going to be like 3 or 4 seconds faster here in qualifying. So it's like, how do you switch your mind over to doing what you need to do? But, you know, appreciate Menards and Delta for being on board. This is such a cool place. And I think we got a decent car. Just got to keep working on it, and hopefully I can do my job well.
When you put it all that way, I'm glad I got the mic and not the steering wheel right now.
Yeah, I hope the camera caught you. Regan was sprinting for like 80 yards. So that's a guy who's dedicated to his craft. And I appreciate you hauling the mail to come interview me. Thank you.
Even on a Saturday, we run around down here.
Well, to Blaney's point, that's what I mentioned earlier about the markers from the first couple laps of your run. And for me, I always wanted to have those. So I'm going to drive to the 2 and I'm going to lift, and then I'm going to adapt from there as to what the grip level is. But you don't want to go out there and haphazardly try to figure out how far you're going to drive it into the corner like we've seen a couple of these guys do, overdrive the entry. I always wanted, and really in this Gen 7 car more than anything, you don't want to overdrive the entry. So I always had a marker, and that's what I was going to stick with.
Ross Chastain rolling out. Let's take a look at drivers who moved up and down in the points after last week. Of course, Denny Hamlin with the big jump. Briscoe up quite a bit. Priest, Dylan Gibbs 5 up.
And we knew this was going to happen, right, guys? When you start with those 3 wild, chaotic races with 2 super speedways and then a road course, this one, look at Shane Van Gisbergen, and then you have, Briscoe off to, he didn't weather this storm. And then you have a guy, we kept talking about it, like Reddick, that not only weathered those storms, he won the storm, right? And demolished them through the attrition part of those first 3 races. There's going to be some shakeup as you start getting into this regular season and what I call the regular makeup of the season.
As it drove past the Moose Lodge just outside of town on the way up to the Society Hill Speed Trap, the big sign in front of the Moose Lodge, Ross Chastain appearing. His average finish in the last 5 Darlington races is the best of all drivers. 30-20 in practice for Ross.
This wasn't quite there, Kevin. It looked solid. Didn't look like it stepped out. It may have been just a lot of times when it's like that, kind of uneventful, it's just flat too tight.
Yeah, and a lot of that happens when you go into turn 1. How does it react when it's going up that hill? And that sets the tone for the whole rest of the corner through the exit of 2.
So here's Daniel Suarez, 30.04 in practice. Has 1 top 10 finish at Darlington.
3-1 and 2, really good.
Yeah, and this car has qualified really well for the most part this year. Daniel's had a good start to the season. Everything seems to be going pretty well for his new group and himself over at Spire.
And it all starts with qualifying. Not quite on the pole right there, but a great effort.
Half a second pickup for Suarez to 29.55. Austin Dillon up next, 21st in practice at a 30.49. Each race this season, he's improved his finishing position over the one before. He was 12th at Vegas.
Well, he's got some good notes to go off of with Kyle Busch, and driving for the same team at RCR. He knows exactly what's in Kyle's car and a difference to his, so he should have mentally a good markers to know exactly how hard he wants to drive this car.
30.49 in practice. He's going to pick up a full second if he holds right there. Second, 29.53, and that is 96/100ths faster.
He pulled off that wall in 3 and 4, Kevin, and I think obviously that's what made the difference. A lot of times when you get through 1 and 2 as good as he did, boy, it really kind of sucks you in to overdrive in turn 3.
Zane Smith, 3 top 15s and 5 starts this season, carrying a 2000 Elliott Sadler paint scheme on his number 38 Ford.
Zane's done a nice job as we've got this season off to the first 6 weeks here. So hopefully they can keep that momentum rolling and keeping the cars all together in one piece for the most part allows the team to really progress things and start working on the details.
He picks up nearly a second, 29.72, 9th fastest. Joey Logano way down the practice chart at 35th. Won here in 2022. Has only a pair of top 10s in the 7 races since that victory here.
Well, we've seen these cars week after week be down on that practice sheet and then go out to qualify and hear him lift right there going up the hill. I think that's another case of carrying just a little bit too much speed. The front end gets tight, not being able to have enough room getting up the racetrack, and you see him pay the price down the back straightaway.
His Penske teammate Austin Cindric is 4th right now.
Kind of the same thing done in 3 and 4. Lost a little time in the center. I think that car's tight.
Yeah, and in 3 and 4, when you know you have that issue, you have to kind of cheat down the racetrack. And right now, the fast line is right up against the fence if you're going to have a chance to get this pole.
Logano picked up 0.8 of a second from practice, but is going to start deep in this field. Chase Briscoe, winner of 2 of the last 3 here, both Southern 500s. 17th in practice at a 30.38.
Oh, same thing, Clint. He actually had to use the wall to slow himself down, but it is a massive commitment to be able to run for this pole, and you're seeing all these guys go ahead and make that commitment to try to hope that that thing will turn before it goes up the hill and hits the fence.
Got to be another tough start for him.
12th right now, fighting quite a handful.
Sure taking a long way around the tree so far.
He did pick up 0.4, but here's Ryan Blaney. Finished 5th here last year, 30.83 in practice.
Yeah, big time buried in practice, 36. We've covered this. But he's been able to pick up, right? And qualifying more than most. And it's going to be important. Was comfortable and confident with his car on a long run. Needed a little bit on the short run, but you start in front of him, it's hard to pass here. And it's exactly what he's starting to do. Look at here, Kev.
Boy, he's going to best Austin Cindric and the 3 Chevys in front of him. 29.47. That is a pickup of 1.3 seconds over his fastest lap in practice.
And it's almost like I almost called that, Kevin.
Well, he does it every week, so.
Oh, it was an obvious call.
No, I didn't think he would pick up that much, but he does follow through every week when it comes time to qualify.
And you have to, right? I mean, if he said it. Didn't really take off the best, but had confidence in that long run. And now he's starting up front. You don't have to worry about that short run as much.
Ryan Preece for RFK, 30.65 in practice. Preece with a best Darlington finish of 12th so far.
Yeah, and you heard Ryan talk about how he thought his car was working backwards. That whole explanation, but you saw him fighting it there in a turn 3 and winds up 9th quick on the board with a 29.708.
And he picks up more than 0.9 of a second over practice. Going to take a break here while track workers go out and look for some debris. Well, let's take a look at our favorites for the weekend. Chase Briscoe, winner of 2 of the last 3. Don't count out William Byron, who led most of last year's race. Chris Buescher, 7 top 10s, and Ross Chastain, best average finish. And of course, Tyler Reddick, who's won almost everything this year. And Denny Hamlin, best of all time with career average finish for the 5-time Darlington winner. Now, while we have a break, 3 cars have lost their car chief and will lose pit stall selection because they failed inspection twice. Chase Elliott, Chris Buescher, and Timmy Hill. How about Kyle Busch, currently 2nd, has not qualified better than 24th since he won the pole for the Daytona 500 back in February.
Yeah, well, it's like Clint said, it just makes your day easier. When you qualify up front, you know it's going to be difficult to pass. You know the cars are going to be a handful. You know it's not going to drive like you want it to drive pretty much all day. So not having to worry about how you're going to get that track position and putting yourself up towards the front is extremely important here at Darlington.
And I think it's even more important for that 8 car and Kyle Busch. I mean, this is a confidence game. I don't care if you're the best at it, if you're a champion or your first race out. Confidence is everything, and it's not just that guy with a helmet on behind the wheel. All the way through the crew, look at the teammates. Everything's a little bit better direction for RCR as a whole. They're 2nd and 3rd so far with both cars.
And in that case, it's more than just measuring performance as you go through the season. This is a contract year for Kyle Busch, so a lot going on.
Absolutely.
All right.
To a great start.
Brad Keselowski, 2 Darlington wins, including his only victory since he joined RFK as a driver and part owner for 2024.
Here's another car, Kevin. We need to qualify better with this 6 car. You said this to me last week. Does a good job during the race, but we're digging ourselves out of it. We take the whole race digging ourselves out of the hole that we get in qualifying. Let's see if he can better.
Qualifying has definitely been the Achilles heel of this 6 car throughout the season, to be able to put themselves in contention to fight for a win all day and adjust your car at the front of the field so that you don't make it there at the end. But right now he's had a great turns 1 and 2.
30.51 in practice for Brad.
He's really fighting that thing.
Carrying that Greg Biffle scheme. Here we go.
Much better.
How about that? 25th last week, and right now he's on the pole. 29.42, 1.1 seconds faster than practice.
Fixed it. Great job, Brad.
And that is exactly what he needed to do to put himself in a position at a racetrack where we know that it's going to fit everything that Brad Keselowski does. That's take care of his car, work on his car throughout the day on a long run. But in our opinion, fastest guy in town was this 45 car in practice. So we're going to see exactly what this racetrack has right here.
9 cars to go. Tyler Reddick, 3-time Darlington runner-up. 6th in practice at a 30.08.
When things are clicking, they're just clicking. And boy, she clicked through 1 and 2.
Brad Keselowski's party may be short-lived.
Wow.
Oh, what a moment there off of turn 4.
29.07.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
Whew.
07.
Smoked him.
3/10 for the good.
He picked up a full second.
And I will say, now he pushed it through the center of 3 and 4, but is there a little left on the table off of 4, Kevin? It was close.
I mean, he definitely slipped the back, but we saw he and Kyle Busch slipped the back right there. And
all right, 8 cars to go. Kyle Larson, 16th in practice at 30.36. A winner here in the Southern 500 in 2023. He's finished in the top 3 in nearly half of his Darlington races.
Was pretty disciplined getting into the corner, actually both ends right here, but was throttled up pretty early and matched him, but not the case down here in 3 and 4.
That 45's in another zip code.
Yes, sir.
Larson second, 29.37. That's also a full 1 second pickup over practice.
Which shows you what that ghost car and the job that the 45 car did. I mean, he's second on the sheet right there and wasn't even close.
Pay attention to that ghost car, because it appears to me like Tyler Reddick got to the green really well and gives himself an advantage. Not much over Chris Buescher right here, but both of those guys got to the green really well. But that 45 car just has so much grip to be able to turn and do everything that he wants inside right now.
Chris Buescher has finished top 10 in 5 of the last 6 races here. Remember, he will lose his pit selection as a result of failing inspection twice. 30.46 in practice for Buescher.
Sliding around quite a bit.
3rd fastest Ford, 29.47. Another full 1 second pickup from practice.
Right there with his teammate and boss, Keselowski.
Bubba Wallace next. He's finished 11th or better in every race this season. 5 top 10s in the last 7. Darlington starts 30.64 in practice.
Just steady Eddie. Has been all year long. Hasn't been flashy, but definitely getting the job done with the point situation and taking care of business in the long haul.
And I think when you have a teammate that's performing like Tyler Reddick is right now at such an elite level week after week, it forces you to have to step things up. And I think that's been good for Bubba Wallace, and he's done a good job in getting those great consistent finishes. And now you're going to see them both right at the top of this board.
Wow, 29.19. That's a 1.5 seconds that he picked up.
He did hit that wall off the 4 pretty hard, Kevin. You're right. Is that hard enough to?
I mean, there is definitely paint in the wheels, so it definitely hit it really hard.
Here is Ty Gibbs. He's on a career best 3-race top 5 streak.
Well, you got to be committed, guys, and he was fully committed trying to go for this pole. He hit it hard enough he couldn't get out of it, Kevin, and once it kind of suckers you into it, he tried to throttle back up and it wouldn't turn off the wall. That's going to cost him dearly. That's a fast car, ladies and gentlemen.
24th for Gibbs. Christopher Bell. He's on a 3-race top 4 streak, and he finished 3rd in 2 of the last 3 Darlington starts. Bell off a 30.56 in practice.
Yeah, and Bell gave up a whole car length to Reddick before he even got to turn 1, so that's all about getting up to speed. Doesn't quite get through turns 1 and 2 like the 45 of Reddick does either right there. So 45 just put up a monster lap.
Bell down in 19th. Part of a group of 4 Toyotas in a row from Nemechek through Jones. William Byron finished top 10 in 5 of the last 7 Darlington races, including a win here 3 years ago.
Really loose off of turn 4 coming to the green.
And that's what you see in the ghost car.
30.34 in practice for Byron. Best Chevys right now, Larson in 3rd and Busch in 7th. Byron's Camaro 11th, 29.60.
Yeah, spent the majority of that lap chasing the back end of that car.
I think you have to wreck it like I did.
2 to go.
I went through 1 and 2.
Chase Elliott will also lose his pit selection.
Did you hear what he just said?
Yeah.
I think you got to wreck it to be fast like I did.
Elliott finished a season best runner-up at Las Vegas.
And I
3, 1, and 2, pretty good.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell right there if the right side was just barely touching the wall, but he was right there up next to it.
Definitely as close as anybody and not in a 2311 car has been. Losing a little bit more in 3 and 4, but it's going to be a good lap.
Elliott 3rd, fastest Camaro, 29.31.
Kind of the next best after 2311.
That's a pickup of 1.3 seconds, and the final qualifier will be Denny Hamlin, who got his 61st career Cup win last week. 5-time Darlington winner.
He didn't ride the wall, Kevin, around the lip at 3 and 4. Not bad, though. Look at this.
Oh, he had to check up big time to not do what the 54 car of Ty Gibbs did right there and slide all the way up in the wall. He kept his out of the wall, but you see the price that he paid for it.
Hamlin 14th in practice with a 30.34. Comes to the line 9th with a 29.50, a pickup of nearly 0.8 of a second. Tyler Reddick gets his 13th career pole and the 2nd career 1-2 start for 2311. Toyota's 1-2, Chevy's 3-4, Ford takes positions 5, 6, and 7. Larry?
I gotta run him down here. He's talking to Billy Scott, crew chief for Bubba Wallace. Tyler, you and I were talking. That's one of those laps where if you can beat that, just go on and beat it. But looked like there was no more there, looking at the right side.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, our Toyota Camry's as fast as Xfinity Internet, that's for sure. And gosh, I mean, I came off of 2 and I asked Billy, how was it? And he said, really good. And believe it or not, I tried to take it easy, and just finish the lap in 3 and 4. And I overdid the throttle and just kind of knew I was in trouble. But unfortunately, yeah, we see it there. I kind of knew I was in trouble about a third of the way through it. And if I lift, I'm not going to have a good lap. So I just had to hit the wall at that point.
So, Tyler, that was 1 lap of qualifying, but your car looks so good on the long run for this race tomorrow. We know it's going to be hot and slick. We know there's a lot of unknowns about this race tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. I should be taking care of my toe link and not using it to get around the racetrack. So, yeah, just really proud of everybody at 2311. It was a huge focal point to come in here with adjustments to the engine on the power side and the downforce side to still be as strong as we have been these last couple of years. And it, like I said, it showed it in practice. But I knew it was going to be a huge challenge in qualifying today, and it was. I damn near wrecked, so yeah.
Well, Regan, he's looking for his first win here, but he's finished second 3 times.
Well, Larry Tyler's teammate, Bubba Wallace, going to come to the field and starting on second tomorrow. Bubba, I got to ask you, though, your teammate's right side looks a little bit rougher than yours. Seems like yours maybe made it through qualifying just a little bit better.
That's Reddick for you. He pushed it to the limits. I mean, that was a hell of a lap. Just sitting there watching on the grid, I think the 6 was at the top at the time, and then he went to the top. It was a massive lap. So just proud of the efforts from the team. Continue to race 1 to now. Darlington's super tough. This package is a handful. I thought we were really far off in practice, but we're pretty close to the 45, so it's more on me trying to figure it out and get there. But I will say that lap for the 23 was driven by Cameron Jade. You know who that is?
I do not know who that is. Help me out.
That's my baby girl. I was just born.
Well, congratulations. Just born
Thursday.
Well, new dad, Bubba Wallace. Yeah. You got a fast race car this weekend. A little breaking news there. So, as you mentioned, we need just a little bit more in race trim. Did you learn what you needed to in practice to be able to make that adjustment?
Yeah, I mean, the engineers go through so much data to figure out what the offset is for aero balance, right, coming in with a new package. And I think we just over-adjusted. And all the comments that I said, it's always nice when you give feedback and they're like, that makes sense. It's the worst when they're like, I don't believe what you're saying. So we're all vibing right now. Got some things to work on for our Columbia Toyota Camry, but a front row lock out for us. We'll go have some fun tomorrow.
Hey, no matter what happens tomorrow, already a winner this weekend.
Right.
Congratulations,
Thank
Bubba.
You guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Regan. Now, look at this pylon. Here's 2311. Here's Hendrick Motorsports. Here's RFK. Here and here, Richard Childress Racing with a sprinkling of Penske and Joe Gibbs Racing added in. Interesting lineup for tomorrow on FS1. The NASCAR Cup Series at Darlington tomorrow. Pre-race coverage 1:30 Eastern. The Goodyear 400 3 p.m. on FS1 tomorrow. Thanks for watching NASCAR on Prime, where we'll have practice and qualifying coverage each week throughout the first half of the NASCAR season. Join us next Saturday, 12:30 Eastern Time from Martinsville Speedway for Cup practice and qualifying. Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, 2311 and Toyota have the front row for tomorrow's Goodyear 400 at Darlington. Thanks for joining us.